Hey class, I'm going to put together a couple of short videos to solve two more of the word problems from the practice sheet that you did. So here we go. Let's begin with number 27. The length of the rectangle is 5 more than 3 times the width. Really emphasize that we'll come back to that. The area of the rectangle is 42 square inches. Find the length and the width. I'm going to draw myself a rectangle just to get some orientation here. Oops. Here's my rectangle, here's my length and my width, and I know an equation for rectangles. Length times width is the area formula for them. Okay, and another thing that's going to help me is they told us that the area equals 42. So I'm going to replace area with 42. It equals length times width. Now I have something I can solve. But we have one hiccup. The equation 42 equals L times W is hard to solve because I have two unknowns. I have the letter L variable unknown and I have the W variable unknown. That's not easy to solve like that. I need some more clues. Unfortunately, we do have another clue. I'm going back to the first sentence now. I'm going to look at the first sentence and I notice the first sentence says the length of the rectangle is. Okay, what is the length of the rectangle? In English, length of the rectangle, I can translate that into the algebra for the variable L. Okay, the length of the rectangle in English is L in algebra. Now, I have this very important word, is, in English. What is in algebra? Is means equals. So I'm beginning to build an equation here. And that equation is going to tell me something about L. Now, the other side is a whole clause, and we're going to have to break that down. There's a lot of pieces in the other side. 5 more than 3 times the width. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Width. Width is an English word. In English, it means width. In algebra, what's our way of saying width? Oh, in algebra, we're translating width with the algebra variable W. Okay, now I'm going to expand on that because the clause has more than just width. It has 3 times the width. Okay, now I need to translate 3 times the width. Well, width is W in algebra, and 3 times the width means multiply by 3. Okay, so we're starting to translate this clause piece by piece. But there's more to the clause. We have to expand a little more. Okay, so it says 5 more than 3 times the width. Width is W. 3 times the width is 3W. 5 more means add 5. So that whole blue box is 3W plus 5 more. That's a formula for the length. Hey, that's great. I can take this formula and plug it into my equation and take the L out. And so now my formula says 42 equals, take the L out, L times W, but I'm replacing the L with the translation of that first sentence. This is much better. I have an equation. It only has one variable, and that's something I can solve. Okay, here we go. Let's solve that. Now, first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the parentheses. 42 equals 3W squared plus 5W. Now, what do you need before you can solve any second power equation? You need it equal 0. So I'm going to minus the 42 on both sides. Now, 42 is not a like term with any of these, so all I can do is just bring them all down. Okay, second power. Now we need to factor. Okay, now first thing to factor, especially with 42, is we need a list of guesses. I wrote down all my possible multipliers that make 42, and I started the guessing process. Now I'm not going to detail out all the guessing process, but we can check what I finally came up with here, and that's 14W, multiply the outer terms, we get 9W. 14 minus 9 is 5W. Check. So it did finally factor after lots of guesses, And so that's the check part. I don't need that anymore. And now I want to start the solving part. Okay, so solving, I have to make two equations equal to 0. Okay, I'm trying to keep it short here so you can see I did some work already. First equation, 3w plus 14, I minus 14 on both sides. I'm going to finish solving and get my answer off of that first answer. So we get w equals negative 14 over 3. And then the last one I'm going to add 3. And that will give me a second answer. And that's what we expect with quadratic equations, is typically two answers. Algebra quadratics will have typically two answers. But now there's another layer, because this equation is also representing real life. And in real life, we cannot have a negative answer. We cannot have a negative width. So we can omit this one. But w equals 3 is a legitimate width. We could say it's 3 inches or 3 feet. So we found the width. The width equals 3. Now we need to find the length. Well, that's easy. We can plug this up here and find the length equals 3 plus 5. And our width was 3. I'm going to plug that in. And so I get 9 plus 5 is 14. So the length is 14, and I found my dimensions to the rectangle. Hope that helped. Keep studying.